The PSP is one of my favorite consoles of all time, so let's see some of the games and movies I've amassed for it over the years. Let's go. Welcome back to the craft table. We're back with another collection video. I really enjoyed doing the last one. A lot of people seem to really like it. So I figured I would do something else. So my N64 collection was pretty straightforward. It's just a bunch of games that I've amassed over the years since I was a kid. So it was all pretty straightforward. I have a lot of the mandatory games to have outside of like Conker's Bad Fur Day, Mario Party 3, just a couple of games like that. But the PSP was a weird system for me because when I was a kid, I didn't really play as much console games as I do now. The one reason was I could take it in the car on the way to school, I could take it on trips, I could do things a lot easier, and with the PSP, I had a lot of games that I wanted to bring on the go with me because they were more or less console quality. Like you had games like Daxter, which was a spin-off of Jak and Daxter. You had the WWE Wrestling series, which were fantastic ports for a while. They got a little bit iffy toward the end, but there were a lot of games that were basically as close as you could get to console gaming on the go with the PSP. Now, obviously, that kind of varies per developer, what game they were going for, but I played a lot of PSP and I had a lot of games for it. But what's happened over the years is, much like happens when you're a kid, you take the games you have and trade them in for other games. So a lot of my collection at the moment is a bit gutted, but I've got some weird stuff in here. We'll get to that in just a minute. But yeah, I love the PSP. I have two of them right here. One of them is hacked. One of them works a lot better because the hacked one, which is, I believe, this one, the batteries are dead at the moment. Basically what happened is the laser went bad in the hacked one, so I can't play actual games on it, but I got a PSP for cheapo, like very cheap. I think it was 20 bucks shipped. It could use a new screen cover, which I have. I'm going to swap it out soon. But basically, I love the PSP. I've got a lot of crazy stuff for it, so let's just get into it. And stay tuned at the end because I'm actually going to have a few Vita games as well. So let's start off with the games. One game that I got the day I got my PSP was the Pursuit Force game. I loved Pursuit Force. The car jumping was something straight out of that game Wheelman, except a lot more fun because the levels were a lot more fun. So naturally, when Pursuit Force 2 or Pursuit Force Extreme Justice came out, I had to get it. I don't think it's as good as the first game. It was a little bit of a one-trick pony. The carjacking stuff was pretty similar, so this was a lot more of the same, but if you like Pursuit Force, you're going to like Extreme Justice because it's just more Pursuit Force. Death Jr. I loved Death Jr. as a kid. I actually went back and played it on my channel a while back. It was like my Halloween episode that came in November. But Death Jr. was really cool. It was a showcase for what the platform could do. When it actually came out, it wasn't as magical as everyone kind of thought it was. It's still a good game, but it's a lot more third-person shooter-based than it is melee combat, similar to Devil May Cry. It's nothing like that. It's a lot more gun-heavy, which was very weird to me when I went back and played it. But if you want to see that video, you can click the link right there. Another game I got first day on my birthday when I got the PSP was Twisted Metal Head-On. This isn't the original copy I got. I actually went to this place in a city close to me called Gameware. I really like them. Their prices are kind of all over the place, but I did a lot of retro game shopping there, and one of the games I always regretted selling and giving up was Twisted Metal Head-On, especially because I had a complete copy when I was a kid. This is just Twisted Metal on the go. It's great. It's great. Like, if you love Twisted Metal, you'll love Twisted Metal Head-On. I don't know if it's as good as 2 or Black, but I mean, it's Twisted Metal in your pocket on the go. It's great. It also came to PS2 later on, but that's a whole other thing. But yeah, if you like Twisted Metal and you have a PSP, definitely check out Twisted Metal head-on, or just check out Twisted Metal 2 on the Nintendo Shop, not Nintendo Shop, the PlayStation Store. I don't know if it's still listed, but that was an option for a really long time. But Twisted Metal head-on, great game. So here's a funny story. I had full intention to do a Thrillville Off the Rails follow-up video a while back, and I even got the game from GameWare. I watched the person take the disc out of the drawer, put it in the box, and hand it to me, and the disc is gone. I have no idea where it went. I have literally no idea what happened to it. I thought maybe it fell out in the car. No idea. It's just gone. I can't do it. I don't have an opinion on Thrillville Off the Rails yet because I have not been able to play it since 2006. So I actually have a copy of the 360 version on the way. So a video will be coming soon. But yeah, the universe apparently has a stake in this. It doesn't want me to review Thrillville Off the Rails. So speaking of the WWE games that came to the PSP, SmackDown vs. Raw 08 is just one of the many games that I had. I had 06, 07, 08, 09, I think all the way up through 11, which was the last one they ported to it. It might have been 10, actually, now that I think about it. 2010 might have been the last one. The fact that they could get these games running on PSP and that they couldn't get WWE 2K18 to run on the Switch is so frustrating and stupid. And I've bought a lot of games over the years, but I've only ever had one regret, and it was buying 2K, WWE 2K on Switch. So, in relation to this game, however, the series is actually really good. If you liked the early WWE SmackDown vs. Raw games, they were basically just as good on PSP, minus a few features, like they didn't have the announcers at actual tables. But for the most part, they brought all the features in as they came to the console, so these were really well done. They were perfect for on-the-go stuff. Like, I put a ton of hours into 07 on road trips and things like that with the family, so if you love wrestling games, definitely check out any of these games on the PSP. So in 2008, my family and I took our biggest trip ever. We've never taken a bigger trip as we did this one. We went to Australia after I graduated from elementary school, and the coolest thing we saw there, well, I saw there, and actually it probably wasn't the coolest thing in hindsight. Australia is an amazing place, but they still had EB games in 2008 when we had pretty much gotten rid of all EB games on this side of the pond. We saw EB games, and the amazing thing about the PSP is that it's region free. So I picked up Grand Theft Auto Vice City Stories on the PSP, and this game is so good. The Vice City Story and Liberty City Story games on PSP are fantastic. Even Chinatown Wars is fantastic. Link to that right here if you haven't seen it. That game is great. It's like the black sheep of the series, but it is still very good to this day. But all the PSP games are great. This was my first Grand Theft Auto game, which sounds a bit crazy, but I really wasn't allowed to play them as a kid. But my dad was like, we're in Australia. You're technically old enough to, like, get this game basically by yourself in a year or two if we were here in 2010. So we're just going to get it for you. And it's fantastic. I love the Vice City and Liberty City Stories. I've always left the sticker because it's just part of the memory, like the souvenir they were having. In 2008, they were trying to just get rid of everything PSP related, so I kept that. But I also picked up Medal of Honor Heroes 2, which is a game that for a while I don't think came out in America. So I was like, well, I can't get this anywhere else, so I'm just going to get this here. And honestly, shooters do not work well on the PSP, but this was okay. I wasn't really a Medal of Honor fan before. I didn't get into Call of Duty until years after we went to Australia, so I really didn't think anything of it. But yeah, these are the two Australian souvenirs I got, and thank God the PSP is region free, because I had no idea about region-free stuff or region locking in 2008. So I'm just really glad this worked out. This is one of my favorite PSP games of all time. Liberty City Stories, like I said, is another one of my favorites. But yeah, I'm super happy to have this. It's a complete in-box thing too, so I just love it. I just love it. So if you ever grew up with a Mac in the late 90s, you probably had a little game called Lemmings installed. I used to really like Lemmings and the puzzle platforming and things like that, and just guiding them from one end of the stage to another. It was very good, and yet I never finished this game. Like, it just got so frustrating at a point because you had no direct control over the Lemmings. So I just pretty much got as far as I could, put the game down, and never really came back. But Lemmings is a classic. If you haven't played it yet, find a way to play it. I'm sure it's free somewhere at this point in time, but yeah, Lemmings is just a cool little puzzle game, and it's even complete. So Namco Museum is basically exactly what it sounds like. It's a bunch of classic Namco games there were the originals as well as HD re-releases, as we would call them today. And there were DX versions, I think they were called. So they have a bunch of games on here. I played a lot of this. I wasn't expecting to when I got it. Somebody gave it to me as a present for, I think, my birthday or Christmas or something. My sister and I both had PSPs, and we both got this game, and we both actually put a lot of hours into it. Because, I mean, these games are classic. Like, you got Galaga, which is, like, one of my favorite arcade games of all time, which is just preaching to the choir. Everyone loves Galaga. But, like I said, it's got, like, a 3D Pac-Man. It's got a different Rally X with more up-res graphics, which was a lot of fun. I really liked Rally X on here. Just a lot of games. Something for everyone, probably. I don't think it was nearly as expensive as the HD re-releases on Switch. Not the HD re-releases. The Namco collection on Switch. Those games are crazy overpriced. I think this was at most like $20. I could be totally wrong, though. Somebody might have gotten these on clearance, but I always felt like this was a really good value because it comes with so many games. So I'm a really big tennis fan, so when I was going on a trip to Daytona with my uncle, my sister got me Virtua Tennis. This game's pretty good. It's tennis. If you like tennis, you're gonna like Virtua Tennis. There's not many tennis games anymore outside of Mario Tennis. I know there's been a couple released lately, like the Australian Open released a game for some reason. I have no idea how good they are, but for a while, Virtua Tennis was a great series. And there were a lot of mini games, a lot of stuff to do in this. It was a great time, honestly. Like, this is a pretty underrated game. Like, you even have Brick Breaker. You play tennis, but it's Brick Breaker, and it's really cool. So, if you like tennis, definitely check out Virtua Tennis. So we're coming up on the last two games that I have in my collection, but it does not end there. Have no fear. I'm going to put these in together because they're both kind of the same thing. So the PSP, like I said, had a great track record of bringing console-quality games to portable devices. NFL Street 2 is a fantastic game. I love NFL Street 2, and basically this was just a console game on the go. And I have a video on Street 2 if you want to watch that over here. But the fact that you could take this game from a console, which is a very deep game, and honestly probably fits better to a handheld anyway because of the different checklist challenges you have to do, this was amazing. Like, I loved NFL Street 2 Unleashed because There was so little difference between the console and the portable version. They just did an outstanding job with this. And I have not played this. Like I said, the laser in my PSP stopped working. So what happened was I got this and never was able to play it. So I need to go back and play it now. But this is a similar thing. Both of these are from EA Sports Big. They make great games. This is a cheap GameStop case, so it's shattering from just sitting in place. But yeah, everything that you liked about the NBA Street game will be in here. Like, it's just that simple. It's fantastic. So here is where things get a little bit weird. When I graduated elementary school, I don't think I had been revealed that I was going on a trip to Australia yet. So what happened was my parents asked me what I wanted for graduating, and I was like, I want one thing, and that is a camera for my PSP. This was the most amazing purchase ever for me in 2008, because when I went to Australia, I filled a memory card full of photos. What was amazing was the PSP had this connector on top with 2 screw holes, as you can see here. And I'll show you how that works in just a second. So this obviously was imported in Japan. I think a camera came overseas later, like a lot later, because I actually saw one in GameStop the other day and brought back some memories. But essentially, you have a game with editing software on it, which I have literally no idea how it works. I don't think I've ever used this because the only thing I really wanted was the camera. But the camera comes in this teeny tiny little case right here. And here it is. It's this lovely little silver thing. You can readjust it, you can angle it differently so you can take selfies before selfies were a thing. And then this just plugs into the PSP like so. So literally, I was walking around Australia with a PSP taking pictures because the PSP XMB has camera support built in. So you could plug in a different camera directly into here and actually use it as a viewfinder. I don't really recommend doing that because that's stupid, but this was amazing because I was literally just walking around snapping photos. We went to the zoo. I'll try to put some photo examples. This is a 2 megapixel camera, so by today's standards, it's pretty low quality. But, I mean, in 2008, I don't even think the iPhone had a 2 megapixel camera, and if it did, it wasn't very good. So this was life-changing. Probably one of my favorite things in my PSP collection. One of my favorite things in my collection of any games is this, and man, this was the coolest thing, and I don't regret getting it ever. I think it was like $60 imported, maybe, might have been $100 actually. I'm not really sure, but yeah, this was so cool. What's funny is I think the camera I saw in GameStop the other day was $10, but times have changed. It's been 12 years since my trip, so this was fantastic. So now we get to the stupid part of my collection. I was the only person to buy UMDs. I'm pretty sure all of the sales of UMDs were from me. I'm only half joking because I have no idea. I've never really seen UMDs anywhere. But like I said, the PSP was something that I carried with me everywhere, so the ability to take movies with me was so cool. Like, it was just awesome to just be able to take your movies, take your games, just go anywhere with them. And so obviously, before I knew how to like rip movies that I already had, I took the opportunity and just bought a ton of movies. So let's go into those. So let's start with the Band-Aid getting ripped off now, I had both Tomb Raider movies on UMD. So these two terrible movies are on a terrible format. I mean, when you're a kid, like, Tomb Raider, so fun. I still can't believe they made two of them. But, of course, I bought two of them because I'm insane and I really liked Tomb Raider at the time. God, what can you really say about these? Ugh. So here's Ghostbusters. I love Ghostbusters, so having it on UMD is a very weird format to have it on. Disc is in here, and then, of course, it's just an advertisement for UMDs, which apparently worked very well on me. Fantastic. Just gonna leave that there. Sky High on UMD, anybody? This is kind of a meme now, but I genuinely actually liked this movie when I was a kid. I totally forgot I had this on UMD. I have no idea when I got this. I think it was probably just when I bought a bunch of these in bulk, but basically there was a time where I was only buying UMD movies just because it was the only thing I watched movies on in general. This movie came with my PSP. It was rated PG-13. It's a remake of a different movie. I haven't seen it in years, so I don't really have anything to say about it. Daddy Daycare, just a classic. You gotta own it on UMD. It's Criterion Collection level movie value for having it on UMD. The funny thing was, with all of these things, some of these movies would have bonus features. Not many, because they couldn't really fit much on the disc. But I think Daddy Daycare had some bonus features, if I'm not mistaken. The movie that gave us Kevin James, Hitch. I really like Hitch. I've liked this movie since I saw it when I was a kid, but it was non-negotiable. I was going to have this movie on UMD, the perfect way to watch it. I haven't watched a UMD in a long time, so I'm afraid to go back and actually look at what they actually looked like, because now I'm sure, living in a 4K world, that it's almost just a blurry mess. The Italian Job. I used to love this movie. Like, I used to watch this movie all the time, and, like, recently I went back and watched it, and it has not held up well outside of, like, the final car scene. God, this was another one that I don't think I had seen it before I got it on UMD, so I was like, I gotta have it. Just have to have this. I bought it, I think, on a whim, and it just became one of my favorite movies when I was a kid, and then, yeah, this is where I saw The Italian Job for the first time. I was literally just buying random movies to say that I had them. If you remember the movie Are We There Yet? This is the sequel, which was not good. Are We Done Yet? This is the one where they get married and buy a house, and then for some reason Dr. Cox is there. That's him right on the cover. Sahara was funny because I think it came with something else that I got for the PSP. I don't remember what it was, but it came with something, and so I got this movie for free, and it took me ages to finish it. Like, I don't know what happened, but I tried to watch it multiple times and just could never finish it. Not because it was bad, it was just because I would, like, drop it and then forget about it for a while. I mean, it is bad, but it was not because it was bad that I couldn't finish it. Now I'm sure I wouldn't be able to finish it because it's bad. Flight Plan was interesting. It's another instance where Sean Bean dies. I really liked this movie when I was a kid. It was very dramatic. It takes place solely on an airplane, and it's just like a thriller. I know this movie is pretty panned, but I used to really like it. I have not seen it in a while, so I don't really have an opinion. But last but not least, the cream of the crop of my UMD collection. Die Hard, the greatest Christmas movie of all time. I love Die Hard. I watched it once with my dad when we rented it one night, and I was just like, Die Hard is my new favorite movie. So naturally, when I saw that it was on UMD, you gotta have it. It's Die Hard on the go. So here is where my obsession with wrestling shined through. Apparently the WWE was a very big supporter of UMD discs. So we have Shawn Michaels, Ultimate Warrior, Jake the Snake Roberts, and The Undertaker all have these movies on PSP for some reason. I don't know why they came to this format. I know you can buy these on DVD, or used to be able to. I think they're out of print, but this is so weird now that I think about it. Like, it was so normal. Like, I was like, I love wrestling, so I'll just get some wrestling UMDs. But now that I look back, why did the WWE support this format so heavily? It's not like, did anybody buy these? I guess they put a lot of care into the SmackDown vs. Raw games on it, so it was only natural. And last but not least, Puddle of Mud, striking that familiar chord. This is like it's a live concert of a Puddle of Mud concert. This embarrassingly enough started this crazy obsession with Puddle of Mud. This was probably the most emo I got, just listening to Puddle of Mud. My girlfriend makes fun of me for it to this day because I have just this crazy MP3 collection of Puddle of Mud songs, and I never listen to any of them anymore. So she's just like, so why do you have them? I'm like, I don't know, just everyone has their iTunes library from when they were 8. Stop. But yeah, so this was part of a limited series of just concerts that came to the PSP. I don't think there were that many. I think there were like 2 or 3 concerts, and they just failed miserably because the audio wasn't great, the video compression was terrible. So like, this was the worst way to watch a live concert. Obviously the best way to watch a live concert is live, but this isn't exactly 4K ultra Blu-ray, whatever it's called. But yeah, so the reason my PSP collection is a little bit slim these days is because of 2 reasons. Like I said, I had to trade in games to get new games, as did a lot of people. But I also was one of the idiots who bought a PSP Go because I was just like, new thing, gotta have it, love the PSP. So I, stupidly enough, bought a PSP Go, traded in a bunch of games just to get credit to buy them digitally. And, you know, at the time it seemed good because, I mean, if you didn't, you were limited to 4 games, or if you're in my case, you had to bring a Tupperware full of games with all your discs in it. So I bought the PSP Go. It destroyed my collection. I've been slowly trying to get back to what it once was, just the essentials mostly. There were so many great games on PSP that, like, I'm ashamed for not having them at this point, because I probably played them and owned them at one point and then just had to trade them in to get the digital version or to get new games for other systems. And basically, hindsight is 20/20. Don't trade in your games, kids. Keep them, even if it's tough. So, as you probably know, there was a successor to the PSP, the Vita. I have a Vita lying around here somewhere, but that's not really important. I originally sold my Vita to pay for my Switch, which I don't regret at all. I got plenty of credit for it. I didn't have that many games for it anyway. In fact, the memory card itself was just like, I think, the price of a new game on its own at the time. So like, I really took GameStop's money because I have now gotten a Vita again and paid less for this Vita than I got credit for 3 years ago. So, game in the system. Really love that. But I've slowly started trying to reassemble a Vita collection of, again, just the essentials. So my collection is very limited, that's why it's lumped in here. I actually have 4 physical games for it. One of them is still on the way. It did not make it in time for this video, but as you can probably imagine what it is once I show you the other things. But these are the ones I have in my hands. So I have Danganronpa 1, 2, and 3. If you have not played these were fantastic murder mystery. Like, if you want something like Phoenix Wright, but darker, not scarier, darker, more in-depth, more intense, higher stakes, this series is... I cannot recommend it enough. Basically, what happens is in the first game is you are selected as a kid to go to a school, and basically the school is known for being the place that people go when they're the best at something. So you got the smartest person, the most popular person, the most athletic person. You got drawn from a random selection, so you're the luckiest student. And when you go to the school, you realize after you wake up and all the windows are boarded that the school has been bought out to become the set of this new reality TV show where basically the only way to escape the school is to get away with killing one of your classmates. So if one of the classmates dies, there's a trial and investigation, and if the person gets away with it, everyone else gets killed. But if they get found out, they get killed in this crazy, dark way. It's fantastic. It is so fun. It is very dark. And it's funny because Monokuma the bear is this adorable little bear, and he's the mascot of the game, and it's just very funny to see him calling the shots. And I just can't recommend it enough if you like visual novels, Phoenix Wright, investigation games. Love these. I'm going to do a video on at least the first one very soon because I've been itching to play it again. But yeah, the one Vita game that is still on its way is Persona 4 Golden. Shocking, isn't it? That game, I really wanted to snag it before the prices got way too crazy on it. I got it for $45 complete, so I have the cartridge and the box. Yeah, I love that game. I've been playing Persona 5 lately, and I am absolutely smitten with it. So I want to go back and play P4 on Vita. But yeah, that is my current Vita/PSP collection. Lots of weird stuff in it because it's been gutted over the years. A lot of this stuff, the reason I still have it is because there was no reason to trade it in because there was no trade credit, hence all the movies. I hope you found the Australian games I got cool and the PSP camera cool. Those are probably the gems of the collection outside of the digital games that I have that I'm not really interested in showing because who wants to watch me scroll through a list of games that I've bought over the years? It's much more interesting to me to just show you what is actually in my collection. Say goodbye, Puddle of Mud. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, be sure to leave a like on it. If you have PSP games or recommendations of PSP games I should pick up because they're great, as you probably can tell based off of the fact that I have been playing Persona 5 and I'm getting Persona 4, that I'm very much actively looking for the PSP ports of the Persona games. Hopefully I'll find some soon. I'm not really sure the pricing on them. But anyway, if you have any suggestions on the games that I should get for either the Vita or the PSP, let me know in the comments down below. And lastly, if you want to see more collection videos like this, as well as my normal content, I know this has been a weird couple of weeks, but I need some time to just breathe a little bit and play some other games. Be sure to subscribe. I really appreciate it. I love the support I've been getting. I love talking to y'all in the comments. I love interacting with you on Twitter at Under 10 Hours. Definitely follow me on there because I'm always tweeting about something. But yeah, thanks again for watching and have a great rest of your week.